You guys hear everything okay? Sounds good? You can hear all the things? Well, is that a thumbs up or is that a turn? So that's a thumbs up. Okay. This song is a cover. It's by Violent Femmes.
Oh, yeah. Hey viewers, it is I, James Kalm, your half-assed reporter, the guy on the bike. It's a chilly evening in early March, and we are on West 18th Street. We're going to run in here to the Metropolitan Pavilion and try to get some pictures of the 2022 edition of the Outsider Art Fair. We always do this. Stay tuned. Well, I was able to schmooze my way in. I saw Andrew Edlin, and he gave me a couple of comps. I believe they're saying that this is something like the 30th version of this, and I've been coming to the Outsider Art Fair since it was in the Puck building back in the 90s. I've seen the whole idea of outsider art, art brut, visionary art, kind of changed over that period of time. And, well, it's created a lot of very interesting questions about outsider art, the inside, the outside, the top, the bottom. And I always make a point of coming, and probably have been doing videos of this for at least 15 years, maybe more. Graham Shea, this is an interesting artist. We'll come back and take a slower view of some of these places. I'm just making a general sweep. Well, let's start out this little stroll at the Carl Hammer Gallery from Chicago. As I said, there are a lot of galleries showing. I think there's over 60, and probably each one of the galleries has got half a dozen at least artists they're representing. I thought these were kind of interesting. By Marcos Bontempo. And, okay, they look like they were done in the last year or two. It looks like what the dates say. And I was thinking in certain ways this kind of relates to Bill Traylor, very simple kind of silhouetted figures on paper. Speaking of Bill Traylor, here's the master. Joseph Yoakum. got a special wall here for Eugene von Brochenheim. I think Eugene was also could be one of the examples of art brut photography, although I think he was actually probably technically a very well-trained and competent photographer. Here are a couple of one of his bone sculptures. Henry Darger. The Vivian Girls. Stick Dog Bob. This is Western Exhibitions, Chicago. Gosh, I was impressed with these large landscapes. Courtney Cooper. This is called Cincinnati Map 2021 ballpoint pen on collaged found paper. Okay, well, I like my maps. Wonder what kind of ballpoint he's getting. America's Oktoberfest, Zinneminnis, USA. Gosh, a lot of line work there. Michael Pello, Iron Maiden, Number of the Beast. Another map by Courtney Cooper. Cincinnati Map 2018. Okay, this is 72 by 93, so we're talking 6 by almost 8 feet. Something tells me this guy is a fan of the Oktoberfest. We got a special section just on pretzels. Let's look at some of the details here. Oh, life. Prince Olympic October. Okay, that's impressive. Okay, Marion Harris, Norfolk, Connecticut. It's one of our favorites, Morton Bartlett. He's a photographer, but he was probably better known for his dolls. Gosh, I think I saw this down at the Visionary Museum in Baltimore a couple of years ago. I think he only ended up making maybe 20 or 30 of the dolls, but took a lot of photographs of them, and I think that's probably what most of his market is these days, is the photos. Oh, that's great. Shelter, New York. Nicole Apple. It's titled Japanese Matchbook Covers and Craft Beers, dedicated to Ikuko and Livingston 2021 Colored Pencil on Paper. Well, of course, because I've been going to these outsider fairs for, gosh, 25 years, maybe more. I've seen a lot of various work. Oh, this is noteworthy. All 5 of Nicole's pieces have got red dots on them. Okay, that's nice. Charlie Simmons. This is some of Charlie's stone sculptures. That's nice. Anyway, I'm going to try to keep our eyes open for some new stuff. See something interesting, we can't get it all. See something interesting, will pop in. Okay. This looks good. Edwin Lawson, Historic Fashions at Stephen S. Powers, New York. Okay, I would say fashion 1955, painted 1976. They look like maybe color pencil on paper. I like the notations. And I wonder if Edwin was trying to compile some kind of an index of fashion trends, fashion shapes. Okay. 1960. Oh, I like the way that parts of the curtain are left unfinished. It's 1975. Okay, this is interesting. One of my favorite artists who passed away a couple of years ago was Joyce Pensato, and one of the things that Joyce always did was she would do huge charcoal drawings, and she would actually grind on them so much that she would wear out the paper, and that looks like what Edwin has done here. And I guess in that way you can sort of see where his interests laid. Just snagged Stephen S. Powers, and he's going to tell us a little bit about Edwin Lawson.
So Edwin Lawson was a professor of architecture at the University in Cincinnati, and he was married and had a normal, as we would say, a normal life with a wife and family. But after he died, a cache of drawings was found that he had a fantasy life of wanting to be a cross-dresser. And not only a cross-dresser in the fashions of the time, but throughout history. So we have fashions from 1887, 1904, 1960s. And you can tell they're all the same face. And it's during that time in the early 70s, mid-70s, where drag culture, which was always underground, and still was during that time, but was starting to become a little bit more in the culture. With the Rocky Horror Picture Show and Divine and Andy Warhol.
I tell you, you've got to watch out for those architects. You never know what's going on. Never know what's going on. Anyway, thank you, Stephen. That's very interesting. Okay, thanks. So this is Graham Shea, New York. And, gosh, I guess it was about 5 years ago that they debuted the work of Robert Kapoor here at the Outsider Art Fair, and I think I came in maybe for the next fair, and they were also featuring him. It's a very interesting story. I'm not sure, but I think that Robert was something like a bus driver or some very pedestrian job, and at some point he decided he wanted to start painting, and made these pieces. And I think the ironic thing is that he was doing a lot of this work, gosh, I guess maybe in the 80s and 90s, and that was a period when a lot of the neo-expressionism was popping out, and had a lot of eccentric, or I should say more eccentric artists and painters from Europe and the East Village, places like that were getting a lot of attention. And I guess unfortunately Robert was just kind of involved in his own thing. I'm sure he was probably out there trying to get things going. Anyway, I was struck by this work because I'm a big fan of chunky paint. I used to go pick up the paint at the Utrecht factory in Brooklyn and see the vats and the paint grinding machines. I would say that Robert has got some of the chunkier paint, and I think one of the things that I kind of also appreciate is that it's all laid out in strokes with small brushes. Some people could squirt out a huge lump of paint, and that's great, but this has all been layered and layered and layered and built up probably over years until it's got the sense of a bas relief. All of these paintings are large too. I would say that's got to be 7 by 9 feet, something like that. It'd be interesting to know how much of this work there is. It's kind of led to believe that there were only maybe half a dozen, maybe 10 of these. And I don't think I've seen any of these pieces before. So it says here that Robert passed away in 2015.
How are you doing? I've heard about you. Nice to meet you. Thank you. It's beautiful art lab here.
Yeah, as long as the artists are alive, they tend to be the biggest obstacle in their own careers. Once they're out of the picture, it's easier to get the work into the market somehow. Paul and Mar here at the gallery Paul Lementius, is that how it's pronounced? Le Mété. Thank you. Okay, well, I guess you could say that, well, the idea of the outsider art, or art brut, all started in France. Jean Dubuffet. Daniel Goncalves. Darrido. One of the things I appreciate about a lot of the outsider work is that it's all done with the most unremarkable, unprecious materials, ballpoint pens, pencils, color pencils. You see some James Castle, he was using spit. Gerard Cambon. Oh gosh, this is James Fuentes. And they're showing Paul Lawfully. I think Paul was a genius. Homage to the Black Star of Perfection, 1969. Well, you can go into the files, and I've got a little report on a Paul Lawfully show oh gosh, I can't remember what gallery it was with, but Paul was there. And I got maybe 2 or 3 minutes of yakking with Paul. And he was quite a character. House of the Self. He's actually from Boston. He was trained as an architect. And I have heard anecdotally that he did all of his work in a tiny little studio in a basement somewhere. Had his work stored. And he was influenced by all kinds of great kind of metaphysical, extraterrestrial, hermetic theories. And he was a fantastic graphic designer. Gosh, look at this. True Liberation, 1963. Oil acrylic and vinyl press type on canvas and wood. There's a lot of intricate work here. Active truth, organism, object. I always had the question of how the press type would hold up over time. Applies to the paramine extreme. True liberation is not the resolution of opposites into a mean, but the attempt at the extremes. Okay. Magic Markings, Brooklyn, New York. Okay, I like this. Like Tantric drawings or something. This is by Bahadramadullah, Northwest Indian, 20th century. And I love the way that the paintings have been worn down with age and sunshine. Okay, so they're not even giving these artists titles. I guess that these would be unidentified artists. The universe in human shape. The Yani mantra printed on cloth, Northwest India, 19th century. That's a beauty. I won't give you the titles, we'll just sort of sweep over this hanging. Saying most of these are 20th century. Kama Sutra. I like the text. I would be interested to know about the paint they're using. I'm always fascinated with pigments and different types of media. Watercolor, gouache, tempera. Could be oil, I'm not sure. And I'm always fascinated with diagrammatic work. Okay, so I like that. Red ink, black ink. You got the snakes connecting various parts of the grid. Well, if you've been watching the report, I think maybe 2 weeks ago we posted something about sacred geometries or cosmic geometry, something like that, that was curated by a collaborative group, lady artist called Hilma's Ghost. And well, some of the artists were influenced by this kind of work. God, that's great. I wonder what this says. Oh, and I like the way that they just painted this face over the page of text. Oh, that's fantastic. Tantric paintings. Well, we're here at the Joshua Lowenfeld Works of Art Gallery, and while I was curious, I saw these large graphite drawings. They're calling them erotic drawings. And here's what got me especially curious. The artist is unknown. Found in Trenton, New Jersey, estimated sometimes between the 60s and the 70s. And, well, I was kind of looking at this and thinking that this might be somehow done with transfers from photographs. Maybe he collected things from girly magazines and retraced them onto the panels. I was curious because seems like it's very accomplished work. Someone took the time to buy the nice illustration board, spent a lot of time doing this, and like I said, it kind of makes me think of Henry Darger, but I asked them if they had any idea who had done them or where they came from. Evidently they were found in somebody's storage space. We'll take a look at some of the other things that Joshua is exhibiting today. Bondage fantasy drawings.
But this is cool. You only like happy things.
Okay, strange people.
It just took me to my favorite booth.
That's so nice. I was literally on my way back.
Eleanor Tarantine, this woman was born in Poughkeepsie, New York, 1924. She has a tuft of hair growing out of her back between her shoulders. Okay. Colin T. Updike, of Stone Mountain, Virginia, a tuft of hair 80 inches long. Okay, we got the three-legged guy. This looks like the new treatment for bad breath, maybe.
Well, I deal with the same thing.
I like this one. Under the Big Top, artist unknown. That's what it says, enamel on wood. 20th century. It looks like it's probably maybe the 20s or 30s. I love the surfaces of these things. Oh, gosh. Ventriloquist's Dummy, Texas first quarter of the 20th century. And this guy makes Chucky look mellow. Okay, here's the Andrew Edlin Gallery in New York on the Bowery. Roy Ferdinand. Okay, I think Roy had a show at the gallery last month that I unfortunately missed, but I was by the gallery about an hour and a half ago. Okay, this is good. Ray Matterson, Moscow Underground. Okay, so these are all little needle points. And they're tiny. They're like 3.5 inches by 4 inches, 2.5 inches by 2 inches, something like that. Brent Green. I'm looking at this and thinking of Malcolm Morley for some reason. Gustav Shesiak. Okay, this is one of the original art brut artists that Jean Dubuffet championed, and at some point Gustav kind of went freelance and decided that he wasn't going to sit back and let Dubuffet define him, and started making contacts with various critics and writers and things. And at that point, I think Dubuffet said, "You're not an art brut person. You're promoting yourself. You're too sophisticated to fit into our little category." Domenico Zindato. So I'm looking at this by Dan Miller and thinking of some of the Cy Twombly scribble drawings that he was doing in the 60s and 70s. Okay, oh gosh. Pearl Bluevelt. Pearl was another, well, housewife, farm wife who worked for years in secret, and then when she passed away, they found the work, and well, she became an outsider art star. Yeah, these look like James Castle pieces. And as I was saying, one of the things that James Castle did was he would mix charcoal with spit, and that was one of his painting mediums.
Which is actually our show right now. It's Spain Rodriguez. I mean, kind of, yeah.
Susan T. Karenga King. She was one of the discoveries here at the Outside Art Fair about 6 years ago. More Darger. Oh, this is interesting. It's Henry Darger Untitled, and it's not dated, but I would speculate that this is one of the older pieces. So he's using collaged photographs. The Eugene von Brochenheim. Agatha Wojciechowski. Always love this guy, Augustin Lesage, Untitled. Okay, so the story with Augustine is he was a coal miner, and he's down somewhere in Normandy, I think, and working on the coal face, and he has a revelation. Some spirit comes to him and says, "You've got to start being a painter," and starts giving him instructions on what kind of canvas to buy, what size to make these, what colors to buy, and he sort of took off. We're gonna take a look at the silo. This is a new project by Raphael Rubinstein and his wife Heather. Hi. Come in and give us a quick little run over of what you're showing. This is your first time.
Our first time.
And the gallery just opened 3 or 4 months ago, or this is the first?
We still haven't started our space up in northeastern Pennsylvania, so this is really our debut in every way. This is Barry Horton.
These are all by one person.
One person. These are, he was an artist working in Chicago in the 1940s, African American. His work was really never shown during his lifetime, but his drawings miraculously survived, and as you can see, he worked in several different styles. Some of them are very calligraphic, others are much more
worked out, and yes. But I'm saying that he also has, he's got the kind of urgency of like a George Gross or something with some of these. It's fantastic.
And also he's looking at like African art and Northwest Coast art, but
yes,
like they're very eccentric. Like these things, like where he reverses the figures. Like if you see that figure down there, where the torso and the legs are actually backwards, and there are so his work ended up. So he was connected to the Southside Community Art Center in the Bronzeville, African American neighborhood, south side of Chicago. Really interested in the.
You know, these actually made me also. Some of them make me think of some of Cocteau's drawings.
Oh, that's a good.
In the 30s.
Absolutely, yeah. So I think he was. I have a theory that he was. Influenced by Carl Jung, by Jung's ideas about archetypes, and Jung was very interested in the idea of the hermaphrodite, and the hermaphrodite is a symbol of unity and healing.
Yeah, Forrest Best got involved with all that stuff as well.
Exactly.
A little bit carried away, but
I mean, I think there's a connection from like Pollock to Forrest Best to Barry Horton here, and. But I think also, Horton is, the intersectionality of his interest in.
And when were these made?
1940s.
These are in the 40s.
They're not dated. I think they're 40s or early 50s. And there was just, as I said, there was this very kind of vibrant lesbian and gay scene in Bronzeville on the south side of Chicago then, and. This is coming out of that in a way, even though they're very private. But he also has just a beautiful line.
Yes.
And so one way of dating him is just to look at the clothes,
fashion and hairstyles and things like that. That's great.
And I love the expressions of the figures. It's this come hither look, but it's also like check me out. But they also feel like very kind of good with themselves, like I am what I am. This one, they're happy, and this one I think of as the three graces. One more.
All right.
So
how about this artist?
This is Chickie Brown, who just
Chickie Brown.
She passed away last year at the age of 98. These are all paintings she did in her 90s. She was born in Pittsburgh eloped at the age of 18, went to Southern California.
She uses some text in here too as well.
It's often
Yeah, I can imagine that. Oh,
song
dear.
lyrics, like they're over here. This is Bacharach and David, Alfie.
What's it all about, Alfie? Is it just for the moment we live? Okay. I'm interested in the idea of outsider art versus not outsider art. You're a educator, you're a poet, you've been a critic for years and years, and now you're delving into the outsider field. I'm looking for someone that can give me a real good clinical distinction of what makes outsider art versus not outsider art. Is that too hard?
I think there's a lot of discussion and debate about that, and I think one of the things about outsider art is there's often this emphasis on biography, and
yes,
but I think we should really focus on the work more. But I have to say, the more I'm exposed to quote-unquote outsider art, the more I realize what I feel has been missing in mainstream gallery and museum art. And I feel like these artists are making it out of sheer necessity. They have to make this work not in order to sell it, but in order to psychically survive, to emotionally survive. And that's, and I also feel like there's so many ideas, and I don't know about you, but I feel like there's a kind of retromania and recycling of ideas in so much contemporary art.
Yes.
Sometimes with diminishing returns. And, and maybe a lot of that might be the fault of education. It's not just the art market, it's also MFA programs, which I teach in one.
Yes, you do.
But
that's all kind of part of a market as well, The educational industry is just another market, and they're just grinding stuff out. Okay, well, Raphael, congratulations on your new venture.
Daniel Johnston.
And again, we've got more text.
Yes.
That's one of the things I do enjoy about a lot of outsider art is that they don't distinguish so much between the pictorial and the literary and the textual. And I also think that a lot of this stuff is feeding back into what we're talking about, the mainstream, that a lot of people that are studying art, professional artists, are looking at a lot of outsider art and being influenced maybe in ways they wouldn't have been if they hadn't been spending time looking at this stuff.
Absolutely, and maybe there's a lot of text because these artists have something to say.
That's true. Okay. And on that note, thank you for what you had to say, and congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Lindsay Gallery, Columbus, Ohio, and I was attracted by this installation. Emery Blagden. I think Emery was from somewhere, even Nebraska, Kansas, something like that, and he was a farmer. And in one of his sheds, he spent a lot of time building these machines, his healing machine. And he had a theory that these were like antennas that could focus the good healing vibes of the universe on your body. And he was also a great painter. Triptych 446. And so I'm looking at that and thinking of a Forrest Best painting. This is Morris Ben Newman. Actually like Morris's work. It's incredibly subtle and it's got quite a surface on there. Ethiopian landscape with buildings, mixed media on panel. And I like the way that he's kind of abstracted his forms, and you get down to these almost like Rothko-esque rectangles. And And yeah, a lot of wonderful tones and overpainting. You know, the realm of grade colors here is amazing. This is Untitled Waterfall, paint on panel. I would say that's probably about 4 by 3 feet, and you can have this for $6,500. More Morris. New Flowers at Temple Steps, circa 1977 to 79. Paint on canvas on window frame. And just look at the pedimenti he's got here under this kind of flat pink wash. There's some kind of blue, turquoise, something. Okay, this is one of the theme booths, Field Trip Psychedelic Solutions 1986 to 1995, curated by Fred Tomaselli. Steve Durkee. Fred Tomaselli is a Williamsburg artist. We've been looking at his work for probably, I don't know, 30 years. And one of the things he was known for was doing pieces that had marijuana leaves and other kinds of pharmaceuticals sort of laid into polymer and plastic. Okay, they're going to shut down the fair in about 10 minutes, so I better hurry through here. Joseph Parker. Well, Joni Mitchell. Gosh, 1967. I guess she would be qualified as a psychedelic artist. Jacob Castor. And Sue Castor and Jacob Castor. Okay, let's drop acid and get some pens and paper, and we'll work on this during the rush. Okay, this looks like one of the Guatemalan embroideries. Cristobal Gonzalez, Symbol Cigarra Huichta, 1989. Okay, this is a guy that I know and admire and kind of have been wondering where he's been. Alex Gray. St. Albers and the LSD Revolution. Okay, Alex is another one of these characters that I would kind of wonder about where exactly he fits in. He's well educated. I think he worked as a medical illustrator for years. He was close to me up in Park Slope in Brooklyn for years. I'm not sure where he's living now. He actually had Terrence McKenna. He had a little installation at was upstairs from a gentleman's club, I believe, over in Chelsea for a while. Allison Gray. I think this is Alex's wife. Okay, I like that. Text, sort of. Sally Webster. Well, I was at a show last night and they had some Yayoi Kusama paintings from the early 60s that kind of make me think of this. Ruth Garble, Cellular 1968. Arl Sklar Weinstein. Okay. So are they dimming the lights? Oh, this is an interesting piece. Jack Weiss. Cave Meditations, 1976. Oil and paper. Although it says that Jack lived from 1928 to 1966, but this is done in 1976. So maybe Jack came back from the dead. This one caught my eye when I walked by earlier. Olga Spiegel, Untitled, 1965. And I always like these pieces that look like they've been sitting in somebody's closet or their attic for the last 40 years. Sort of like pulling out that old Bible you inherited from your aunt and finding her corsage from her senior prom pressed in there. This is another Olga Spiegel, 1971. Leonard Barron. And Jane Davis. Gosh, they got a whole section here with Zap comic, underground comic people. Spain Rodriguez. The Master Art Crumb. It's a nice Joe Coleman piece. So I think I saw that guy at an opening the other day. Paul Foster. Oh my God, Rick Griffin. One of the great California underground artists of the 60s and 70s. Stanley Mouse, Mouse Studios, wow. So we got some Robert Williams. It's interesting to see how these things reproduce when they're blown up. Great color things happening. Yeah, I remember all this. I hitchhiked to San Francisco when I was 15. Stayed at a commune on Middle Street that was probably about 6 blocks away from Haight Street. Spent a month there. Actually saw Bobby Kennedy was there on a campaign stop and saw him on Market Street, and we decided to head back to Idaho the next day, and we got picked up in the morning by a young student who was crying. I think we're on our way to Sacramento. He was crying, and we said, "What's the problem?" He said, "Bobby Kennedy was assassinated last night. Broke our hearts." Okay, this must be sheets of acid. Blonde acid LSD, highly illegal hallucinogen, applied to a small perforated piece of paper. Okay, Okay, well, they're turning out the lights. Everyone is heading towards the exit. That means it's time to go. This has been James Kalm reporting on the 2022 Outsider Art Fair here at the Metropolitan Pavilion. You can like this, share, link it up to all your social media sites, and you can leave your thoughts, ideas, comments, criticisms, and reviews below. I just ask you to say thank you, Kate. InCircles.
Oh, there's a lot of you. Hello.
Thank you.
So
Thank
much.
you.
We are InCircles. InCircles is one word. Thanks.